to another $1 masterclass with me, Clay. Today we're going to be looking at the blues. So as with all these $1 masterclass tutorials, the videos come in two parts. So the first part is just, I'm not going to do any theory really, we're just going to look at the shapes to get you up to speed, get you finding these shapes and these sounds and playing what you want to play as quickly as possible. In the second video, we actually look at what we're actually doing, the theory behind it and why it works. So if you're interested in that, look at the video after this. But in this one, we're just going to look at the shapes and the patterns that we can use to play the blues. So with the blues, with our blues scale, we're going to look at a minor blues scale today. We're not going to get into the major and minor blues scale and the differences between them and all that in this video. So minor blues scale in C. So we're going to be in C here. Okay, so our right hand is going to be using these notes and only these notes. So we've got this one, which is a minor third, 4, sharp 4 or flat 5, 5, flat 7. So we can do a lot with that blues scale. So these are our notes, and we can start anywhere that we like in this scale. So we can start here or here. What we're going to look at today, what we're going to focus on, is getting to grips with this scale and being able to improvise and play the things that we want to play. And we're going to accompany ourselves with our left hand playing three nice simple chord shapes. Now in the blues, as you probably know, there's really only 3 chords in the blues, and they're also the same type of chord, which is like a dominant 7. Again, we're not going to get into that right now. We'll get into that in the other video. So what we're going to look at is, with our left hand, we want to keep it nice and simple so that we can, because our focus is on our right hand. Okay, so let's take our first chord. So our first chord, we're in the blues in C, so our first chord is going to be C. So here's our C, let's play it here, just below middle C, here's middle C. So we're going to take our root, our third, and our flat 7. We could have a fifth. Fifth doesn't add anything, so let's leave it out. It actually sounds nice without it. Okay, so this is our C7 chord. Now our next chord, what we're going to do is, our next chord is going to be an F7. So we could play that up here. Here's our F, here's our third, here's our flat 7 or our dominant 7. But that's jumping around a lot. And although it has the F on the bottom, which is nice because it's an F chord, our focus is on the right hand. So we don't want anything getting in the way of that. So what we're going to do is, instead of playing it like this, we're going to take this note and we're going to put it down here. So that means what we're doing is we're going from this shape to this shape. With the fingers, I'm using, for this shape, I'm using pinky, middle finger, thumb. And then for this shape, I'm using middle finger, index finger, thumb. Thumb on the top. So my hand's hardly moving at all, which is what we want. So it's a bit of a compromise because we've got the 7th on the bottom instead of the root of the chord. But as I'm going to keep saying, the focus in this lesson is our right hand. So, okay, so here's our F chord. Okay, now the third chord in a 12-bar blues is G chord. So here's our G7. But we're not going to play that there. We're going to play that. We're going to take this and drop it down here, just like we did for the F chord. The F chord, we did this, drop that, put it down here. So we're going to do exactly the same for the G chord. going to use the same fingers here. I'm going to use middle finger, index finger, thumb. So F, G, B. And then I'm going to move down to F and then back to C. Okay, now this is the kind of first in the blues tutorials. So I'm going to go over the real basics here. So if you already know this, just skip ahead. So 12 bar blues, why is it called 12 bar blues? It's because it has 12 bars in it. Each bar has 4 beats. So we'd have this chord for 4 bars. So if I give you a counting, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4. Now we go to our F chord. 5, 2, 3, 4. 6, 2, 3, 4. Back to C. 7, 2, 3, 4. 8, 2, 3, 4. G is just 1 bar. 9, 2, 3, 4. Then F. 10, 2, 3, 4. And C again. 11, 2, 3, 4. 12, 2, 3, 4. So that's our 12 bar blues. So, as you can see, most of the chords are the C7 chord. Then the next most common one is the F7 chord. We get 3 bars of that. The G7, we only get 1 bar. So we need to practice moving between these 2 shapes, these 3 shapes, sorry. So we're going to be going from C to F and back. We're going to be going from C to G. From G to F. So it makes sense to practice those. So to practice that movement. So we go from C to F and back. So we'll practice that. We'll practice C to G. And we'll go back even though that doesn't actually happen, but just to go round and round it. And then we also need to practice the G to the F chord. So we want to get our left hand as fluid as possible so we don't need to think about it. Okay, so let's say we've got our left hand sorted out. Here's our blues scale, so this is our minor blues scale, so I'm going to use thumb, middle finger, thumb, index finger, middle finger, pinky for 1 octave. You can use whatever fingers work for you, doesn't it? It's not important really. As long as if you find a system that works, great. Okay. So best way to start is to just pick a chord. So pick the C chord, and let's just try some little things on that C chord. So we could start on C. We want to avoid coming back here all the time because it's going to sound very static. It's going to sound like we're not really moving and we haven't arrived. So we could finish here. So. That little phrase because I thought, well, that seems to work quite well. I'm leaving plenty of space around these things that I'm doing. Space is really important. We'll be covering more of this in our kind of improvisation tutorials. But it doesn't need to be like endless notes. It just gets too repetitive, and we need space is really important. Space and phrasing. If you think about any kind of melody, any of the great songs. The melody doesn't just keep going and going and going with the lyrics and non-stop. There's pauses and stops and starts, and that's what makes the thing interesting. So we can do that same thing in our solo. So now let's try moving from G to F. There. That works just fine. So let's have a look at what we can end up with something like this. So I'm going to stick to just the things that we've looked at in this class. So I'm just going to use these chords and the G chord there. I'm just going to use this minor blues scale. Okay, so we could have something like this. Nice and simple, doesn't need anything more than that. Okay, so in the next video we're going to look at the theory behind it, and then in the subsequent videos in this blues series we'll look at how we can develop these kind of chord patterns a bit more, and we'll look at using the major blues scale 2 and the different kind of ways we can make an arrangement. So we might be doing an arrangement with other instruments, but we might be the main instrument. There might be no bass player, so we could play it like this, or we could play something kind of a bit more kind of boogie woogie style. Anyway, all that will be like in some of the later blues videos. So for now, I hope that gets you up and running with the shapes. Remember, keep it simple, have a clear goal in mind of what it is that you're working on. So don't try and make the left hand too busy initially, because we want to focus on the right hand. We can cover the left hand, what different kind of things we can do with the left hand in separate tutorials. Okay, if you want to know the theory, I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching.